Hey guys, how's it going? How was it? The end? Amanda, yeah, did you drop off there? What happened? Oh, poor little sad face. It's okay, we have another session tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Can you guys hear me okay right now, by the way? And are you hearing the music in the background? And if you were to rate my voice on a scale between 1 and 10 and the music 1 and 10, where would you put those at? Okay, thank you, Amanda. Thanks, Toy Toy. Okay, so check this out. I'm going to adjust the volume. I bet that's better, huh? How's this? You like that music? You're not gonna believe where that song came from. Maybe you would believe me, but I'll tell you. AI. I created this on a platform called Suno. You might want to check it out. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun, yes. I've been having a good old time with it. Anyhow, this is what we're here to talk about today. It's Boosty the Stickman. Okay, that's officially what we've named him. I know, isn't this good? I'm using AI to help me create my meditations now. The music, that is, the background music. Very soothing, yes. Boosty the Stickman is our mascot. That's exactly right. Love it. Okay. Things are running a little bit slow on my side. Give me a moment here. Okay, there we go. So what we're going to do tonight, you guys, is we're going to talk about the sync method for reprogramming your subconscious mind, why that's important, and what are the basic elements of the method. So if you stick around tonight and absorb the information, you're going to walk away with the elements to actually reprogram your subconscious mind and manifest what you want. And if you stick around, maybe you will get some hot seat coaching if you need some help in any particular area, because we do that as well here. Okay, so this big black square right here, that's the universe. That's the universe, and right now we're going to zoom in on Boosty the Stickman. Shoo. And let me do this as well. Reframe this so we can get a little bigger picture in here. Just a quick little reframe. Nice. Boom. All right, we're in business now. Cool. So let's look at the elements of sync, okay? First of all, this acronym right here is a new sort of facet to the work, which is a way to break any cycle anytime you get triggered. I've used this myself over and over and over again until it's become second nature. Okay. And I'm learning how to operate in non-resistance as a result. When you operate in non-resistance, life gets a whole lot better. I can tell you that from personal experience. And not to mention the incredible transformations my clients have had by learning how to operate from non-resistance. Keep that in mind as we talk about the sync method tonight and how important it is, okay? But this is like your stop, drop, and roll when you get triggered. Think surrender. What does surrender mean? It means let everything be as it is. You don't control it. Therefore, you attempting to control it is carrying energetic weight that you're not intended to carry. Surrender to this present moment right here. Let everything else be exactly as it is. You don't need to carry that anymore. Surrender. Be here now. Okay, inward focus. Inward focus. This is where when you get triggered, we're typically focused on something out there or something someone said, or a news story, or the weather, or just you stub your toe or whatever. There's some external trigger. I'm telling you to turn your attention around, inward. If it helps to close your eyes, do that. And it does, because when you close your eyes, you cut off the stimulus of the vision, okay, the energy antennae that comes in through your eyes. You shut that off, the inner kingdom becomes more vivid, more present, okay, more palpable. That's what I'm talking about. The realm of feeling, your energy state. Start giving that attention when you get triggered. Okay, that's the inward focus. Next is non-attachment. That means when I go inward, if I discover some troubling emotions or thoughts or ideas, I immediately detach. I immediately say that's not me. That's a feeling state that's passing through me. And this too shall pass. You get in the habit of doing that, of non-attachment, and you will release so much psychic weight that you've been carrying around, and you will reclaim so much energy that's been leaking into attachments. Okay, that's a process, but it's one of the most important processes we go through in life to learn how to live without attachment. Okay, and then lastly is conscious presence. Conscious presence is being conscious, consciously aware. I'm conscious of my presence, and I'm conscious of my awareness. I'm aware that I'm breathing right now, that I'm here right now, that I'm present, that this is the realm, okay, that I have dominion over in here, not out there. So this is the stop, drop, and roll in the event of an emergency. It doesn't need to take an emergency to do this. This is an always practice. This is like you get anxious or you get excited, right? It's like surrender, inward focus, non-attachment, conscious presence. Telling you this right here may just be the most impactful thing for your health, your wealth, and your happiness. I was triggered today, and I'm really thankful for what you taught us through the program. Thanks for saying that, Amanda. Appreciate that. And you're absorbing it. You're absorbing it and you're putting it to work right away. So that's huge. Okay, so this is a way to look at the sync method that is very powerful. Now, where is... I feel so much calmer and so much more balanced. That's amazing, Amanda. In short time, you have really come a long way, I must say. We call that collapsing time. It doesn't need to take a long time, actually. Things can happen rapidly. Things can happen very rapidly. Trigger worksheet is almost ingrained in my mind. What do you mean by that, Libby? That's amazing to hear. But can you explain, like, when you get triggered, what process you're referring to that you just sort of almost default to now, is what it sounds like? Okay, I'm kind of tripping. Okay, there we go. I got my drawing tools. We still looking at the same thing? Yes, okay. So we're going to talk about what sync is now. Aside from this method to break cycles that we just talked about right here, sort of a way of thinking, right when the trigger arises. Now, what are the elements? First is an understanding of how mind operates and how energy operates. So let's just kind of write this out as we're going along here. Lady Paratrooper, good evening. Okay. Let's make this a little bigger and let's talk about it. Do it in the moment and not have to wait for the journaling session. Oh, I see what you're saying. I get that, but I mean, can you just describe the process? Just very simply. You know what I mean? Like, what does the trigger worksheet help you do? I get that now you're doing it in the moment without needing to get the sheet out and write it out, but maybe you can share with the rest of us, you know, the basics of what the trigger worksheet is, what it does. I feel like I have less triggers now from healing, but the ones I do have are extremely amplified. That's a really good point, Jessica. That's a really good point, but that's a sign that you are on the threshold of a major breakthrough. This is big, you guys. Check this out. If you're like Jessica and you have less triggers now, so you've sort of like brought your baseline up so that you're not getting triggered as much, but now you're noticing that there's a few holdouts, a few points of either fear or pain or, you know, sadness or something about the story that's gripping, it's still grabbing you. Okay, that's natural, and that's just the sign that your soul has a lesson here that maybe your body needs to catch up to. So in other words, the body's still getting triggered, and that means that the body still remembers the old paradigm on a cellular level, the patterns of energy under the surface, the undercurrents are still there. And you've learned how to be an expert swimmer or a surfer, yet even the best sometimes still get swept out to sea. Even the best still wipe out. So that's what's happening. You're going to become an even more expert surfer when you harvest the good from these holdout triggers. Oh my gosh. You know what I mean? That's when I get giddy, because the potential of a human being that comes into their power and learns how to resonate in solution awareness on those triggers that represent something your soul really wants to learn in this incarnation. Big reclamation of energy and amplification of your energy field. So very exciting stuff coming for you, Jessica. And feel like I will never be not bothered by them or able to let them go. Okay, Jessica, we can work through that. I can identify what triggered me, the story, then focus on the reframe, and then what I want to feel instead. Nice, Libby. Very concise, straight to the point. Identify what triggered you. Love that. The story behind it, huge. And then focus on the reframe. So there's work in there. Okay, there's work here. There's cognitive work. You notice the trigger. You identify what triggered me. You identify, what story was associated with that. Now that's the difficult part for most people, because most people don't naturally tend to separate story from reality or story from fact. And so that's what the trigger worksheet does. It asks you to be a detective first and state the facts. Then you get the chance to talk about the thoughts you had about what happened, the story about what happened, the emotions that came up as a result, the sensations in the body. Okay, so that right there, that's step one. That's the identification stage, where it's like, you look at the trigger. What was the external stimulus that triggered me? Okay, if someone cut you off, well, that's a fact, right? If they pulled in front of you in a dangerous way, that happened, right? Now, if you say some jerk was driving incredibly dangerously and almost tried to kill me, can you believe it? Well, there's a lot of story involved in that. Now, isn't there? So what you want to be able to do is say someone just cut in front of me while I was driving, and then, oh my gosh, my blood pressure rose. I got super angry. I flipped the guy off. I drove erratically. I got aggressive. I yelled out the window, F you. You know what I mean? Not everyone reacts that extremely, but a lot of us have that storm going inside our body, and we think, violent thoughts towards the person out of character. Except for a lot of us, it becomes our character because we continuously react to triggers, and we get triggered, and we just continuously blame the external things or the circumstances that are happening in our life. Right? You guys tracking with me? Chell says it helps me break down the emotions behind the trigger. I love that, Chels. Getting an awareness of everything that happens when that stimulus comes. What's the stimulus? It could be someone driving erratically on the road. It could be the weather. It could be the jobs report by the government. It could be a news report on Fox News or CNN. Any one of those things could trigger you. Or a lot of other things, right? For some of us, there's just constant triggers all the time, and we don't feel safe in our own body. But we'll talk about that. But what we're doing here is we're developing a more keen awareness of our own energy patterns. And we're able now to gain some discernment that, okay, circumstances are what they are. Stock market goes up and down. Weather's good and bad. Right? All kinds of things, circumstances happen. But I have this sort of automatic reaction to some of these things that causes that thing to get much worse. And so if you can catch yourself in that automatic reaction by identifying, what I thought in the moment, what were the emotions when it happened? What was the sensation in my body? Was there heat? Was there stuckness in my gut? You know what I mean? Like if you can identify that feeling in your body and say, oh, there's that trigger again. Ooh, now we're onto something. Now your awareness is growing deeper and deeper about the source of this trigger. We got to get to the source. Okay. So that's all step one. It actually happens very quickly. You just write it out. just like we described, the circumstances, thoughts, feelings, emotions, story. Okay. Now we can determine the belief that's underneath that. Okay. But we're not going to do that at the moment. What we're going to do now is we're going to go straight to the reframe section. In the reframe, you just reverse a lot of those things. But what you want to do is paint a better picture, how you want the results to go after that stimulus comes. We're not pretending like we're not going to get triggering circumstances in life. We're not pretending like you're going to always love who gets elected president, or you're always going to love the weather that rolls through town when you want to go out and have a picnic. Okay, we're not going to pretend like there's not these contrasting circumstances rolling in all the damn time. There is, and there are, and there always will be. But what we're going to do now is we're going to paint a better picture about how we respond to it. We're going to paint a better picture because we're going to be honest with ourselves about how we want to feel. If you're being honest, do you want to lose yourself in anger if someone cuts you off? Just as an example for one trigger that's kind of common, you know? Do you want to lose yourself? Do you want to flip people off? Do you want to think angry, violent thoughts towards people? If you're being honest. Oh, but they are that way, so they deserve it. Yeah, but that's not the question. Do you want to feel that way? That's the question. Because you are the only one who has dominion over that. Do you want to feel that way? So in step 2, we reframe. We look at how we really want to feel, how we really want to show up in the face of triggers, what we want to think, what we want to feel. Okay, and you reframe it. Step 2, very powerful. Are you guys tracking with me? Let me catch up with the comments here. Amanda says that's where I feel I am, but I'm also much more self-aware about other feelings. Yes, you are. Yes, it definitely helps you realize and shut down lies, be able to see through the illusions, see through your own lies, call bullshit on your own story. That's how I had to change. That's how I changed. I had to realize that my automatic reactions, the way I was responding or reacting automatically to triggers, it wasn't right. It was associated with an old persona that I was ready, or at least my soul was calling for a rebirth. Chels says, sometimes I feel like I don't have the ability to respond. I automatically react. Listen, Chels, we all automatically react. That's never going to change. But you can absolutely develop this muscle of response. And the way you do that is develop an intimacy, a close relationship with your energy. You could say with your inner being. That's how Abraham Hicks puts it, your inner being. That is the source inside of you. That is energy. That is being very aware of your own energetic harmony or dissonance, but namely the dissonance, because when the dissonance comes up, that's when it's time for us to go to work. That's another principle here, guys. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. It's funny. It's a funny cliche, but it's so relevant. It's so powerful because this is how I gained a strong mindset. You know, for example, when I go on a run, if there's an uphill, I don't go, oh God, there's an uphill and just trudge through it. I go take the hill. I speed up. I go harder. I love it, right? So you learn to just have a mindset where the challenge is no longer an obstacle. The obstacle is the way. And that's the name of a book. I don't know who wrote it, and I didn't read that yet, but it's true. It's true, okay, in this context. So we all automatically react. Develop this relationship with your energy so you're responsive to your energy patterns. You're showing up for you first. Okay, what does that look like? Well, maybe you take some more space to yourself. Maybe instead of continuing that argument that's ongoing, where you and someone in your life, maybe it's a sibling or a spouse or a friend, you constantly trigger each other and there's ongoing argument. the sensitivity around something, maybe you just bow out of that whole thing for a while and take some space back for yourself. You know what I mean? That's like what I'm talking about here. The way you might truly want to respond. Exactly, Amanda. Jessica says, yes, for sure. I can see it all play out like an observer, but the storm inside me still grows. Thanks for the follow, birds of a feather. The storm inside me still grows. Well, Jessica, if you can see it all play out like an observer, then that storm wouldn't be growing. Listen, there is a storm. Storms come and they go. And every time there is a storm that's present in your environment, you have the ability and the choice to step into the eye of the storm. During every period of conflict, during every war, during every calamity, during every storm, there's always some people, not very many, the select few, who stay calm and present. And they hold it down, okay, for the rest of us. Because you always have that ability to stay in the eye of the storm. You can't change that there's a storm, but you can choose not to go in it. You can choose not to drive right into the twister like they do in that movie. Okay? You can step into the eye of the storm at any time, because very much it feels a lot of times like there's a storm inside. I've lived a lot of my life and it felt very turbulent inside. And I didn't know how to step into the eye of the storm during a period of my life. I was getting kicked around. All right. I was getting my feelings hurt, and I was telling a story that was feeding an old persona, an old paradigm, and it became toxic. I lived with toxicity. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I was very ashamed then. I was carrying a lot of shame, which was toxic. I was carrying a lot of inferiority and then superiority, which was toxic. I was living in a comparison-based paradigm. Everything was about how I measured up to others, or to my father's expectations, or to the expectations I had begun to set on myself like handcuffs, stopping me from doing anything because you'll never live up to that. Self-sabotage can be so tricky in different ways. Get that monkey off your back. So if you can see it as the observer, then the storm is not going to grow. It's the equivalent of stepping into the eye of the storm and watching it without attachment. If the storm is growing, then there is still a deep attachment. The fear, worry, disappointment, sadness, and jealousy take me over. That's the storm. That's a storm of emotion. And if it's taking you over, then you're not just watching it, you're participating in it. You're playing a role in it. You're actually feeding it. I'm not putting you down in any way. I'm giving you a little tough love, though, so that you can snap out of it. That's what you need to do, because I hear that your awareness wants to break through to the next level and take you into higher realms. That's what I hear. And goddamn, does that mean we got to somehow get a hold on this thing we call emotion, or energy in motion through the body? Practically speaking, regulate that shit. Join us in our meditations this week. By the way, guys, we're running a meditation retreat this week in the Boost Mindset Academy. So if you guys are feeling like there's a turbulent storm inside of emotion and you can't get a grip on it, Take this as your opportunity to do something about it. We're meditating at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. every day. We were just on before this doing a somatic breath work, and it was downright psychedelic. It was badass. So if you want to join us, you got to join the Boost Mindset Academy. The amazing news is that there's a free 7-day trial. So you can join us for this meditation. And if you choose to, you could drop out afterwards and go your merry way. Or you can stick around and check out the Boost Mindset Academy and see how it's changing lives, and open your heart and see what may happen. One friend asked if I was okay, and I let her know I was triggered and needed some space to process. Love that. That's high vibe communication, Amanda. That's very good. I typed out 3 different responses and took a moment, rethinking if it was necessary to respond. I love this. I love this because you're transmuting. You're thinking deeper. You're feeling deeper. You're operating in integrity. And that's a little bit of a process at first. It's like, what isn't integral for me? What do I truly feel? Because I want to act on that. That's huge. Liz Miller, right. We can choose how we perceive the people and the things around us. We absolutely can. And, Liz, we can come to the conclusion that some people ain't right for us. And I want to go out and attract the people who are. I want to go create a space for people like me. Maybe you determine at one point in your life, like I did. Okay? And it's painful sometimes leaving, people in your family of origin or your hometown or your friend group. People fear the shit out of that. I've dealt with extreme isolation and feeling like an outcast most of my life. If you guys know anything about my story, I grew up an outlaw. I grew up with a double identity, a double personality, basically, which was deeply unsettling for me because I was always very empathetic and I wanted to connect with people on a deep level. I'm a Cancer sun sign. I'm a Virgo rising. I'm a I'm a Sag moon. So I'm very emotional, water sign, and I don't like to lie to people. I don't like to hide things from people. And I had to most of my life because of the nature of what our family did. That was very hard on me. Very hard on me living a double life. So it had an impact on me. I was very open and honest about everything except what our family did. And eventually that all came to an end. That old paradigm had to die. It was very painful. So I want to help you guys shortcut the learning curve and avoid going through the dark night of the soul like I did in despair. I had to do a lot of soul searching and finding my way through the darkness to create this system, this sync method. Hey, Bill. You're welcome, brother. Thanks for the follow. Linda Freeman 339, thanks for the share. Appreciate that. Yes, come join us this week. This is the week to start for sure. Geo Nation shared the live. Thank you. Appreciate that. Reinventing your exit. Hello. Brielle Rambo, thanks for the follow. Brielle Rambo. What inspired that? That's cool. Amanda, that's one of my characteristics I want, is integrity. And again, that's the sign of a higher level of awareness. If you're at that point where you know integrity is what I want, kudos. Okay? Kudos. Because at the end of the day, ain't that the truth? We want to know that we acted authentically. We want to know we showed up for what we believed in. We want to know we left it out there. We left it on the table, right? We didn't hold anything back. We squeezed the juice out of life. That's what integrity is about. And it's about deliberate creation. It's about owning what you say, what you do, what you think, what you feel, owning everything, never needing to blame or explain again because you're rooted in your truth and you operate that way. And it's the source of your prosperity. That's some next level shit right there. When the source of your prosperity is your authenticity and your integrity. How about that for a brand? It's painful at first, but oh man, is it freeing. Yes, Amanda. Letting go of the toxicity. 100. Exactly. That's what makes you so relatable, though, Adam. You've been through the dark side, like many of us. Yeah. Thank you. But yes. That's my real name. That's badass. That's badass. Brielle Rambo. Love that. Okay, so back to the sync method. What's 100? That's shorthand for 100%. Thank you for asking. I just figured you guys knew my shorthand, I guess. 100. What's 100? Oh, that's embarrassing. Straight 90s kid. I'm an 80s kid, actually. Are you coming back, Finn? Hi, buddy. Okay. So. It's fun. Yeah. My last name is Bones, right? Bones. It's actually pronounced Bones. That's a secret that not many people know because there's an accent over the E. It's French Portuguese. Come here, Finn. What are you doing, buddy? What are you doing? You're in my frame. But my nickname was always Bones in sports and, you know, everywhere. So I ran with it. So let's talk about energy and how mind operates really quick. I'm going to give you guys the cliff notes here just for sake of illustration. Okay, energy just is, and it's everywhere all at once. You're made out of energy. Trees are made out of energy. Wind is energy. Sunlight is energy. Chairs are energy. Walls and wood and shoes and everything. Okay? When you say it like that with the accent, oof. What? I'm not getting this nuance here. Okay. So everything's energy, including you, and you're also a conduit for that energy because this energy here is raw and undifferentiated. That means that it's actually a wave of probabilities if we're going to talk in scientific terms. It's a wave of probabilities. It's not in a fixed state yet. It's undifferentiated. Well, how does energy get differentiated? It's very captivating. Bones. Thank you for giving me that perspective. And how did you put that accent over the E? Believe it or not, I've been trying to figure that out for years. In fact, I couldn't figure that out, so I just went, all right, it's Bones. Is there a secret to that? There's got to be. Hold down the E a little longer. Can't be that easy. Can't be that simple. Could it? Libby says it is. No way. I was trying to hit like Alt 0, 3, 2, 4. I don't know if I have to do them at the same time or in succession. I'm just frustrated, trying to figure out that accent thing. Wow. Apparently this is the topic of the night too, and we're putting mindset on the back burner here. You never know what's going to hit these days. Oh, geez. All right. Energy is changed through life. Nice. It works. I gotta try this. Okay. So there's two parts to the mind. We got the conscious thinking mind. Let's try that again. Yep. And the subconscious feeling mind. And so this is an important point. Thinking and feeling are really two sides of the same coin. You ever thought about that? Thinking and feeling, one handy. Wow, nice, good success management. 100. That's cool. I'm still gonna stay with 100 though, okay? Because I just like the sound of it. 100. This is funny. Okay. So this is Boosty the Stickman, you guys, and we're learning the secrets of the universe here through Boosty the Stickman. Keeps it fun, gets the kids involved. In case you didn't know, this is the body, and this is the head, right? But we're going to let this represent mind. And the two aspects of mind is conscious and subconscious, thinking and feeling. Okay, thinking, feeling, and then action happens through the body. That's the way I want you guys to think about this. Remember, energy is undifferentiated. How are we differentiating it? Oh, that's for the phone keyboard. Okay, well, I'm on my PC right now, so I was wondering for the window, like Windows or on a laptop. Does anyone know that secret? Secrets of the universe here, you guys. So energy is undifferentiated. That's that wave of probabilities, you guys, that we all live in right now. The unified field, like we're in it right now. Okay? We're in the field, the unified field of undifferentiated energy. And each one of us has a pattern of how we collapse energy, which is to say, a pattern of how we think, feel, and act. Isn't that interesting? So energy is actually traveling through us like this. We think, we feel, and we act. Okay, another word for that is behavior or habits. We all have habits. We all operate habitually. Human beings are very much habitual people. And that's because habitual beings, because we've got patterns of energy coursing through us in this nature. So this is what I mean with sync. All you have to understand is that you are a center of divine operation. You are, by what you think, collapsing the wave of infinite potentiality into an observable reality. I didn't mean to blow your mind on a random Monday, but hey, we got to do what we got to do to invoke transformation sometimes, And so it's not that thinking and feeling are opposite. They correspond with each other. They go together. Okay? Oh man, what's going on, Finn? Finn did that. All right, come on. Hey, get out of there. Come here. We had a drive-by feline incident here. I hope he's done for now. He's wreaking havoc in my space right now. Come here, Finn. What do you need, buddy? He needs attention or something. Good old Finn the human. Okay. Yes, a random Monday. Good success management. You're on the spot with those accent jokes. That's a niche. That's a niche right there. Gotta love it. What about when you get stuck somewhere in those think, feel, act connections? It's a great question, G, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about bad habits. right? I don't mean to be like crude about it, but I want to simplify this as much as possible. We've all got them. Bad habits of thought, emotion, and behavior. Okay, I'm not saying you're bad. Please don't take it that way. All I'm saying is that we've fallen into patterns that are no longer serving us. We got to recognize that at some point and adjust. Okay. Amanda says, been working on altering habits. It takes time to make a new habit form. You're right, Amanda. It does. How much time? No one is really to say. With the human process of manifestation, we don't know the gestational period like we know the gestational period of corn or strawberries or bananas. We know the gestational period of like fruits and vegetables and other things, and an egg hatching or the development of the life cycle of a fly, whatever. We know those gestational periods. When it comes to human manifestation, we're planting seeds in the subconscious. Okay. Every thought is becoming a thing, by the way, in some way, shape, or form. It's just going to break your paradigm right now. What you believe is possible, what you know to be real. It's going to break that. It's going to bust outside of that to show you that what you think is actually coming true. Okay? But those thoughts that we deliberately plant in the subconscious mind with repetition and emotional intensity, and we remove resistance around those things, you can collapse time. If you learn how to operate with non-resistance, you can collapse time. Time is totally relative. So we don't know the gestational period of a human creation, a human manifestation. You don't need to. Letting go of that part of the result is what ushers it in, ironically. This is about clinging and attachment to needing the outcome in a certain way or in a certain time, right? It's that like grip that pushes it away. When we learn how to make it second nature for that thing to be here now, it comes. Okay. Jessica says, try holding down the control key, then press the apostrophe key, and then press the E key. Okay, I'll try that. I'll try that later because I don't want to mess anything up right now. Been spending the last 7 years actively working towards eliminating bad habits and replacing them. Yeah, well, you're really pouring it on now. You're really turning up the heat, and I'm happy to see this. Linda Freeman says, they rise or fall together. Kind of like think sad thoughts, feel sad. Think positive, happy thoughts, feel happy. Very true. Very, very true. We definitely get a little bit more involved in nuance than that, but I like to keep it simple. I like that, Linda. Been spending... Nope, we already read that. Okay. Thanks for the follow, Rancho Alvarado, Texas. What's about manifesting? Wait, what's about manifesting? You want to rephrase that question? Good success management? Not sure exactly what you're asking. Thanks for sharing the live, Amanda. I appreciate that. Okay, so let's get back into the simplification of how to reprogram your subconscious mind and create new energy patterns so that you can actually install new habits in your life pretty readily. When you get into an upward spiral, you learn how energy works, you understand how mind operates, and you start actually operating that way or operating more effectively. We'll talk about how to do that. Because I think it was G who asked, what happens when we get stuck in that thought, feeling, habit loop? That's called the trauma loop, and we're going to talk about how to break that. Okay. Is manifesting real? Hi, Jen. Welcome. Is manifesting real? Yes, manifesting is very real. However, you must understand the nuances that I'm explaining right now in order to actually understand manifesting, because there's a lot of bogus information out there about manifesting. And there's just a lot of people who just scrape the surface when we definitely go deeper here. Because I'm going to tell you this, the most relevant thing we can talk about in terms of manifesting is that your nervous system sets the boundaries to what you're about to manifest or to what you're going to manifest. Your nervous system, that is the conditioned patterns in the electrical grid in your body. That's what your nervous system is. It's like an electrical grid in your body. The brain is like an electronic switching station. Now, if your nervous system is operating on overload, how effective are you going to be? How clear-minded are you going to be? How focused are you going to be? How much vital energy are you going to have? How much discipline do you think you're going to have if your nervous system or the electrical grid is tapped out? Right? So think about that. So manifesting is more about this. It's about understanding energy, how it works, how mind operates. And then it's like, well, how do I put that to work in my life? Okay, and that's what sync is for. It's to show you how to put the art and science of energy sync to work in your life. Excuse me. Energy sync. Okay, and this is also, why it's called the sync method. It's short for synchronize. Synchronize your energy. But it's also an acronym, short for self-introspective neural conditioning. Let me write that for you. Self-introspection is learning about yourself, finding those patterns of energy, finding common triggers, determining where you're leaking energy, determining what beliefs have been living under the surface that are controlling your behavior. Now I'm getting a little deeper now. Now we're going into the work. Okay, but it's finding out, where your operating system ain't working. It's not working for you. And so I guide you through a process of self-introspection. I help you learn about that. I help you ask the right questions. I help you learn the nuances of turning your attention inward. And then I help you create a new neural network, okay? A new mental model. A new mental model. And this might sound confusing or complicated. It's really not. If you look at the sync method and you look at the map that we've created to map out your new mental model, okay, and the script in order to wire that into your subconscious mind, it all becomes very intuitive, actually. It's very intuitive. Okay? And so it operates on these key pillars here. First, you got to understand energy. We talked about that. Energy is everywhere all at once. It's undifferentiated. Then you got to understand how mind operates. We've been talking about this. We talked about how the conscious mind thinks, and that is collapsing this undifferentiated wave function of energy into an observable, discernible reality. And what is that? That's a movie on the screen of your mind. That's a movie on the mind. That's what the conscious mind does. And that's an incredible thing that's happening. We're going to talk more about that. We're going to talk about your higher faculties here in the conscious mind at another time. But for now, just know that the act of thinking is pretty cool. That is you connected with non-physical energy, and it is a spiritual activity. Thinking is a spiritual activity. Okay? Now, remember what I said earlier. Thought and feeling are two sides of the same coin. So when you think, you feel. When you think, that's your brain, the electronic switching station, receiving a signal from the unified field. What happens with that signal? It fires and wires in the brain and the nervous system. And so you've got this electrical conductivity happening to and through you, literally. Energy transmuting into chemistry in your body. Isn't that incredible? This bioelectric conduit for source energy that you are. Now, not very many people know this truth about who they are. A lot of people think that, they're just some other geek off the street. Or, maybe you identify as a loser or a nerd or, someone who's not living up to their potential. Thanks for the follow, Wanderer. Bottom line is the human condition, the human folly is to live in an illusion about who we really are. And it's to accept a self-image that is less than and that is somehow damaged. The human condition is to accept an identity that you are damaged. We got to reverse that, you guys. You got to understand who you really are. You're a center of divine operation. You're capable of anything beyond anything your imagination can even conjure right now. Because it's really difficult to think outside your paradigm or that collection of beliefs that was embedded in your subconscious mind when you were growing up. Thanks for the follow, Heather. Linda says, I've struggled for far too long. Listen, on the other side of that struggle, Linda, is equal and opposite triumph. Okay? You're just setting the stage for your grand awakening. It's coming. I love that I have such excitement for my life. I am ready for the wish fulfilled. Love that, Jen. I feel that for you. Totally. Totally. Okay, so what is energy sync? Energy sync is understanding that you can synchronize your energy by thinking to whatever you want. But here's the sad problem with many people, with much of humanity. We're trapped in cycles of scarcity, fear, and doubt. And so those thoughts reign supreme in our mind. Many people don't even know what a good life looks like. They don't know what wealth looks like. They don't know what health looks like. They don't know what good relationships look like. And so you got to find out if that's true for you. You've got to find out, because if you don't find out a better image, a better idea to put on the screen of your mind, you're never going to get one. So you got to, part of mindset, and Bob Proctor used to talk about this. He say every day study the mind. Study. If you don't study, you won't grow. So does that mean you got to study something in particular? No. It means study something that your heart is passionate about and calling you. For me, it was the study of consciousness, mindset, subconscious reprogramming, brain science, epigenetics, all this stuff. And every day I study the mind and human potential, because I had to learn how to put better ideas on the screen of my mind. Now, what else am I studying? I'm studying, successful business people, entrepreneurs, wealthy people, investors, people who create jobs and maybe even housing. You know what I mean? I'm starting to try to think on a higher level. Call in those ideas, read those books, so I can have those images on the screen of my mind so that I can manifest that. Because thinking is a spiritual activity, and thoughts are things. Thought is transmuting into chemistry in my body that's catalyzing me into action. If I have really powerful thoughts, I've got really powerful fuel, fueling my action. Do you guys get that? You can absolutely reverse your life or just change the trajectory to whatever you choose with a powerful mindset campaign. And that is where you take control over the narrative and the content that's living in your mind. But you're going to have to brave the journey. What do I mean by that? I mean, at first you're going to think things and you're not going to see the results. You're still going to be operating on the same pattern from before. When I say brave the journey, I mean walk that path of the unknown, where you invest with faith and courage during that period where you're planting seeds, but the crop hasn't arrived yet. You guys feel that? Feel that? Thanks for the share, Bill. Brielle Rambo feels that. You're welcome, Lisa. Thank you for being here. Rancho Alvarado says, this is wonderful. We must choose to reveal our own mystery movie. Love that, Jen. And find the clues. Look, if your idea of adventure is mystery, then that's what you're going to create. And that's cool, right? Maybe you love a good mystery novel. You can play in that arena as long as you want. You can play in the adventure. You can play in the sad, sorrowful, grieving. You can play in the angry and hostile. You can play in the resentful and bitter. You can play in all these realms. You can play in the self-empowered. You can play in the creator, the creative, the lover. Or you can be a sleuth in your own mystery movie. What's an energy practice you can suggest to us? We would like to see the all we already have. I love that, Wanderer. So, the one I just mentioned was study. Study is an energy practice, okay? And that is, attracting and absorbing information that lights you up. That's a powerful energy practice, okay? Another one, my favorite, is meditation. By the way, we're running a meditation retreat right now for the members of our community, the Boost Mindset Academy. If you want to join us this week where we're meditating twice a day, join the academy right now. Go to the link in my bio, the one that says Fearless Creator. Okay? There's also a 7-day free trial, so you can do this meditation retreat and see if it's a good fit for you. And, you can drop if you want to after the meditation retreat and do it for free. Okay? Or you can check out the academy and see if it's something that you would love to do. Meditation is my favorite energy practice to see the all we already have. I like how you put that. Yes, 100. Conscious, thought, fuel, feeling, subconscious. Nice. I love the 100. This is great. At first, self-love, self-respect can feel so forced or foreign. Good point, Amanda. It can feel that way, huh? Thanks for sharing the live, Bill. It can really feel that way. G says a lot of us don't even realize the low vibration of our most common thoughts and actions. Exactly. So true. A lot of us don't even realize the low vibration of our most common thoughts and actions. You're so right about that. Even our most common ones. Those are the ones that slip under the radar, aren't they? I think a good example of that, G, is humility for me growing up. Humility. I had a poor concept. And I looked it up in the dictionary one day. And it was like, oh my God, no wonder. I detest the definition of humility in the dictionary. It's to have a low opinion of one's own worth. I detest that definition. Let me look it up again, just to confirm this. A modest or low view of one's own importance. Okay? A modest or low view of one's own importance. I don't believe that's what humility is. I honestly don't believe that. To me, humility is more like reverence. Like when I feel into the God presence inside of me, and I feel reality, the totality of reality and the vibration of the universe coursing through me, I get this feeling of just exuberance and reverence for all that is, for the immensity of this experience we call life. The fact that we're in space and time, in the universe, it boggles my mind, and it humbles me to be part of that. It humbles me to know that I'm stitched in the same cloth as the sun and the earth and the lions and the wind and lightning and supernovae and black holes and human beings. And here we are in this eternal present moment thinking we're insignificant. That is a big mistake. What is a mistake? It's a mistake. It's a misunderstanding of what's really going on. And that's all a sin is, by the way, you guys. We've been duped into thinking that we're sinners and that means we're somehow flawed. No. A sin is just a misinterpretation or a misconception. Think about the word misconception. What is a conception? Well, we conceive. What is conceiving? Think about this. Conceiving is you generating a movie. You're conceiving. You're thinking. You're conceiving, coming from conscious. A conception is the object of your conceiving. You're conceiving a conception that is mistaken. That's the only thing that a sin is. It's a mistake in conception. Now learn how to conceive according to truth and law, vibrational law, which states that you are made out of the same thing as everything else. That's the law of divine oneness, and we're all connected in the unified field. There is no separation on that dimension. And when you start operating with that knowing, then you're operating according to the law. And you'll never use the word against you again. You would never put yourself in a one-down position. You would never accept a damaged or flawed persona again. That's freedom, and that's love. And we're all headed there in our own timing. So you can release any and all weight you've been carrying. Thinking you're a sinner by nature, thinking you've done something wrong, thinking you're out of place, thinking you're broken. You can release that. You're not. Thanks for the follow. Unicorn Mafia. That's hardcore. Love that. Like a full circle interconnectedness, says Brielle Rambo. Yes. Everything's vibrational. Yes, Libby. Yes. That was a perfect description of the feeling. I don't believe that definition either. What an icky energy attached to that. Exactly. And that's how I grew up. And that really held me back. It really held me back. It's like you don't end up celebrating your wins. You don't celebrate life with that version of humility. Fuck that. You know what I'm saying? We're moving up and onward. And we're growing, we're creating meaning that actually means something to us. And we're going to live that. We're going to live in integrity with that, you know. I realize how important it is to mitigate your energy and your own thoughts mindfully, says Brielle Rambo. Yes, 100. 100. That's mindset work. And I'll take it a step further, not just mitigate. I say decimate. I say declare a Rambo-esque mindset campaign. Like, go Rambo on this shit, right? You gotta love this. You can't make this shit up. We got Wanderer, we got Bones, and we got Rambo in the audience today. What can you tell us about dragons? I remember creating my physical body before I was born into it. That is beyond the scope of my purview. I'll leave it to you to tell us about dragons since you have experience there. Many people won't like when you set boundaries, especially if you never did before, but it's necessary. Yes, Amanda. Well said. It's true. And nothing is worth you giving up that sense of autonomy, that sense of inner freedom and emotional freedom. So, yeah. Do commandments add? Please give me courage and willpower to do the Holy Spirit will. What I learned, here we go, this is great, was that by being a little selfish, I was truly becoming selfless. I'm showing up so much better for those around me. I freaking love that, Amanda. Yes. Guys, that's huge. Abraham Hicks talks a lot about that. Abraham Hicks is like, yeah, they accuse us of teaching you to be selfish. We do. We do. You need to be selfish enough to make feeling good your number one priority, or else you're no good for anybody. Okay, that's extreme. I'm not saying you're no good for anybody if your priorities aren't straight, but it's just an extreme way of saying that, you got to get your priorities straight. You got to have your cup filled first. You got to be rooted in your truth. Otherwise, you become a plaything for other people's whims, other people's shift in mood, other people's opinions, other people's doubts and fears and ideas. You're not meant to live like that. It's so much more engaging and invigorating and rewarding when you're rooted in your truth. You act on that without regret. Like, sorry, not sorry. I'm here to show up in my power. You don't like it? Sorry, not sorry. These other people are really into that over here, and I am too. And so I'm going to go over here. Over there, there's people who aren't into that. You can go over there, kind of thing. So we're meant to move around and find our tribe, There's too many allegiances to old ideas going on in modern society. Causes so much conflict. The sync method sort of relates to Vipassana for me, but goes a bit further, thankfully, for me. Interesting. There's definitely, and thank you for saying that, reinventing your exit, because I was thinking about this today. And for those of you guys in the academy, would you agree with this, that the Boost Mindset Academy and the sync method is kind of like a really strong blend between Western and Eastern ideologies? I feel like that's who I am. And what this group is about, and like what we do is we bring the ancient wisdom from the East, And I also had this thought, and tell me if you resonate with this. Amanda's very much into both. Yeah, exactly. Tell me if you guys resonate with this. And like the Eastern is almost more feminine and the Western is masculine. Or the Eastern is like being in flow and letting things happen, and organic and natural and receiving. And the Western is more make it happen, self-discipline, order, and what was that last attribute? Receiving, and then seeding, right? In the Western, it would be more, we could say more force, more use of, let's not say force. I don't like that. Let's say deliberacy. Okay. I don't want to cast any negative connotations on Western or Eastern or masculine or feminine. That's that trap, right? The trap is to think that masculine is bad. No, toxic masculinity is, but that's a twisted perversion of masculinity. It's not really what masculine is about. Masculine's about deliberate thought, choosing, deciding, and you could say devoted or disciplined. Whereas the feminine would be more ease and flow and receiving and letting. Now there needs to be a conscious dance between the two. There needs to be a harmonious relationship between the two for it to work right. And I think the sync method really blends those two. It blends the use of the masculine mind, but an understanding of the feminine mind and how to create harmony between the two. As my wife would say, how to romanticize life. That's my wife's catchphrase. I love that. Ooh, Jen says an act of rebellion. Love that. So, Lisa learned the hard way. I feel you, Lisa. Same here. Thanks for the follow, Mia. I stopped listening to a lot of social media unless it feeds me nutritiously. Love that. Yeah, it's an awesome way of putting it. Okay. Balance, baby. And Western is trying to fix it, but never does fix it. Yeah, I feel that. I align with both as well. A multitude of thoughts, really. Yeah, feel that. There can be a toxic femininity, too, in some cases. Yeah, interesting, Libby. I hadn't really thought of that. How would you describe that? I'm curious. Romanticizing life. Compassion and understanding. Your wife is absolutely right. I know she is. She's so intuitive with this stuff. Yeah. She's taught me a lot in that realm. Getting very sleepy. Okay, Linda. Good night. I can't even begin to get into it with TikTok's character limits. Okay. No worries. We don't have to define toxicity tonight. But let me wrap up with my little webinar here, my presentation, because I wanted to make this very simple, okay, about what sync is. So, understanding energy, understanding how mind operates, learning the art of energy sync, that is deliberately synchronizing your energy with repetition and emotion until it becomes a pattern. So it's just an understanding that you're right now in sync with your life. Now, what do I mean by that? Have you guys ever heard of the model by Brooke Castillo? This is a good description of what I mean when I say, these energy patterns. All right, let's see if I can write here. Circumstances? No, that's not going to let me. No. Okay. Good night, you guys. We'll catch you in the next one. Maybe I have to do it bigger. Yeah, let's do that. So it's circumstances, thoughts about circumstances. Okay. I'm starting to malfunction over here, technically. Feelings, here we go. Okay, we're on a roll. No. Actions, results. Okay, this is the model. So everything that's going on in your life is going to fit into one of these. My voice changed. Am I robotic or something? Is it okay? Okay, we're good. So everything fits into one of these buckets, you guys. And here's the thing. You can give me, a feeling you're having, for example, like anxiety. And if we look at that, we could fill in the rest of them. There would be a corresponding set of actions, results, circumstances, and thoughts. You could give me a thought you've been thinking, and we could fill in the rest. You could give me a circumstance that's coming up in your life, and you could then fill in the rest. What this illustrates is that it's all interconnected. It changed tone for Jen, but everyone else seems to think that it's the same. Check 1, 2, test audio. 1, 2, 3. So you got your circumstances, thoughts, feelings, actions, and results. Circumstances, thoughts, feelings, actions, results. So it's very much like the model that we're using here with Boosty the Stick Man, except we didn't talk much about circumstances yet. We usually just focus on results. And we know that the action that we take is always going to be really pretty predominantly responsible for the results. You know, if you happen to come across a creator or a coach or something that's, you know, not really talking about results, then watch out. Okay? Maybe that would be considered toxic feminine, right? To think that to take, you know, I don't know. I don't need to expand on that. All I'm saying is that action is a spiritual activity as well. Thinking is a spiritual activity. This whole process is spiritual. Your body is spiritual. Your body's made out of energy. Energy and spirit are really interchangeable here. Okay. Hang on one sec. There we go. So, this is the entirety of the picture here of how mind operates. Okay, in a very simplified way. We can add a lot more detail. We can talk about the nuances of the conscious and subconscious. But for tonight, we just want to get a picture of how mind operates. One other little detail I'll put here is that, you know, your senses are connected with your conscious thinking mind. You see, hear, touch, taste, and smell. And for most people, the programming is so strong that they can only see, hear, touch, taste, and smell the same repetitive reality. Reality has become fixed, right? And you can't really argue with someone like that. You can't really convince them to change their thinking because it's fixed. So it's a futile plight. And I never try. Okay? Bill says, brother got to share. You want to share something with us, Bill? So to finish out here, the basics of sync, we want to now talk about subconscious reprogramming. We want to talk about how to install a new idea in the system and then get the body to believe it, because the body keeps score. Okay, the body and the nervous system is really going to set the boundaries to what you're going to do. And so we got to talk about subconscious reprogramming through energy sync. Okay, through new rituals. I call them PARs, powerful alignment rituals. What am I essentially saying here? I'm saying new lifestyle habits. I'm saying that new behaviors, right? I'm saying new action, right? We talked about the action, the way that we behave through the body. Well, we've got to start to regulate this nervous system in order to reprogram the subconscious mind. Okay, which one? The Body Keeps Score? Yes, it is a great book. It's very intense. These are the basics here. Okay, I created the Boost Mindset Academy, and what we do there is we create a supportive environment for people to grow and put this to work in our lives. We do that with weekly meetups where we practice these rituals together of study, of meditation and breath work, of visualization, self-suggestion. Okay, we use all the techniques in different ways, in different contexts, and at different times. Okay, we even do shadow work and the deep mind meditations, they lower the brainwave states. And so we're really doing brainwave entrainment too. Okay, you don't need to be a scientist to understand this stuff though, and to use it in your life. You really don't. We can definitely talk about it from a scientific lens if you want to. Okay, but you don't need to. You really don't. All you need to do is install some new powerful rituals in your life. Okay, and then in this subconscious reprogramming, I teach you how to create a new model for the mind and how to implement that in your life. Okay, a lot of people are using goal setting inappropriately, or they're not using it at all, and they don't understand what goal setting really is about. It's really about the process of learning to use your mind more appropriately in your life. You don't have to view yourself as this, big time goal achiever, but to understand that your brain and nervous system is a servo mechanism. It's a goal striving mechanism, whether you know it or not. Well, that's important. It's important to know that, actually. It's important to know that your brain and nervous system wants to figure something out. It wants to accomplish something. In fact, it can tend to look for problems. And you can become very problem aware. You can be someone who has a lot of problems and very entrenched and invested in those problems and those thoughts and those emotions and those behaviors that are causing those problems. And it's like, well, something's got to change. What changes is your conscious awareness, where that's being placed over time, that reroutes the neural pathways in the brain and nervous system, and thus your behavior. So that's how it happens in a nutshell, you guys. It's actually very simple, but it takes having someone who understands the process help you facilitate. That's myself, okay? And having a very empowered and supportive community like we have in the Boost Mindset Academy. People rising up, people taking control of their own lives and leading and becoming very inspirational. Very inspirational. What are some examples of PARs? We've got meditation, breath work, introspective journaling, self-suggestion. Did I say breath work? Yes. Self-suggestion, visualization. Now, some other more nuanced ones. Goal setting. It could be included in introspective journaling. When I say introspective journaling, that's a vast array of, it's a big subject. So self-introspection, we've got, brain dumping, for example, very cathartic, very therapeutic. We've got writing out your goals, your vision, your dreams. We've got creative writing. We've got scripting. Okay, scripting's in there as well. So affirmations, by the way, are included in self-suggestion. Self-suggestion is talking to yourself, changing the inner narrative. If you do that enough, it becomes auto-suggestion. Right now, you are auto-suggesting things to yourself that you don't even know you are. That's why it's called auto-suggestion. It's happening automatically. Self-suggestion breaks that cycle and installs a new narrative. These are very powerful techniques, you guys. Another one is fun, hanging out with your friends, having a good time, relaxing. That's a powerful alignment ritual. Why? Because it puts you in alignment. Okay? It's very much like it sounds. Consider it your energetic hygiene. You brush your teeth, that's your oral hygiene. You take care of your teeth. It's a habit every day. Do you have energy hygiene? Do you meditate? Do you do breath work? Do you visualize? Do you self-suggest? Do you deliberately put fun in your schedule and creativity? Do you study? That's another powerful alignment ritual. Study. I also like walks and nature immersion as a powerful alignment ritual. I use cold therapy, cold exposure. I get in the ice. I think exercise is a powerful alignment ritual. So that's 10 very powerful things that we can do. It's like if you're ever bored and you haven't done one of those 10 things, like what are you even doing, right? Meditation's invigorating as hell. So is exercise. walks are just lovely. Breath work is transformative. It's like, good God, these PARs, they're foundational. They're in the, look at this, they're in the list of what sync represents. Okay. Now I'm also going to add to sync the community aspect, because this is huge. Okay. The Boost Mindset Academy is not random. It's the result of me thinking long and deeply and contemplating about how best to help people. Okay. Eventually, I realized it was about leading by example and bringing people into my practice. That's why I developed the sync method, because I needed a concise practice to follow to change and up-level my life. In a sea of spiritual development and personal development information, I got overwhelmed. I got lost. I wondered what the hell I was even doing. And then I realized, no, this is about rewiring my energy patterns. This is about energy sync. This is about realizing who I am and who I'm not. And if I'm just stimulating my intellect every day with stimulating content, I'm not actually doing that. I'm not doing anything other than stimulating my intellect. That's a major problem in the personal and spiritual development industries. So many people are just stimulating, stroking the ego. No real change is happening. Okay, so that is the why it's so important to be part of a community that's actively doing the work. Jen's loving the breath work. Yes, the breath work been doing in Boost Mindset Academy has been so huge. Any tips on visualizing? I'm reading a couple books currently and going on another hike tomorrow. Hell yeah. Any tips on visualizing? Yeah, do it. Practice it. Because like it's not something we should overthink, because thinking about visualizing, well, it's actually visualizing. That's kind of ironic, isn't it? Visualizing is literally the most natural thing we do, but we don't realize we're doing it. Now slide what you're visualizing over to something new. Play around. That's my tip. Play around with it and do it. So, have I thought about actually accomplishing my goal? Have I pictured that in my mind? I've thought a lot about doing that, but have I actually done it? Have I actually thought about it? And the thing is, you go on a transformation when you play around with that. When you start thinking about what would my ideal outcome look like, or what do I truly want to call into my life? How do I really want to feel? Who do I really want to be around? That's a transformative thing that happens. You start connecting with your soul, and you conjure and conceive of that imagery. Now you start using your consciousness productively. So my 2 tips are: do it. Number 1, meaning don't just think about doing it. Don't plan to do it. Just do it. Just practice it. It's the most natural thing you could do. Conceiving is something you don't even have to think about doing, because you're already thinking and you're already conceiving. Just change the nature of the conception and play with it. Experiment. Your soul, I give you guys a lot of guidance and rules and stuff, and on some level we like that, but at some point your soul takes over. Your spirit says yes or nah, right? In your own conceiving. That's why I say play around with it. You can't do it wrong. There's no wrong